Ciao a tutti, bentornati a Agenda Giada. Oggi abbiamo un ospite. Qualcuno ha chiesto qualche giorno fa: ma perché non parliamo un po' del Messico? E questo mi ha aiutato ad avere un ospite dal Messico che è Luis. Adesso cambio e mi metto a parlare inglese. Luis is a very good friend. Hola Luis, ¿cómo estás?
Hola Luigi, I'm very well. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this topic, which is my passion. I hope it might bring some insights to your audience.
Finally, I know you will. Con Luis abbiamo molte conversazioni perché ci frequentiamo normalmente, è una persona molto interessante, ci spiegherà un po' come stanno le relazioni, soprattutto tra Cina e Messico, perché lui ha una lunghissima esperienza qui in Cina. Ok, Luis, Mr. Enciso, ok. First, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your experience here in China.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, over the past 20 years, I've been always involved in trade and investment between Mexico and China. No, at the very beginning, I was working for one of the largest food companies in Mexico, called Grupo Bimbo. And I was doing mergers and acquisitions for this company. I was helping them to formulate the strategy to come to China to enter the market by buying companies. Eventually, by doing this in-house M&A work, I discovered my passion for advisory. And then I moved to Deloitte, which is the largest management consulting firm in the world, and I was responsible for the China desk in Mexico. And I was helping Chinese companies that they were going into Mexico, either doing a greenfield investment or by acquiring companies in my country. Tell me.
So finally, you know something about trading between China and Mexico. You live here since 2001, if I'm not wrong, right?
Well, I've been going back and forward because in the position from Bimbo, I was also based in China. So basically, I would say like I was 50% of the time in Mexico and 50% time in China.
Anyway, you know, now you're stable in China, you have a family here, and I would like to ask you some information because Mexico is a key country for the trading and economy situation between China, but it's interesting for all over the world. Mexico is next to United States, so I mean, this is a very, very important topic. This is why, you know, my audience has been asking me specifically about this. So, you know, let's start some question. You know, the first one is that I noticed going around in the bars, you know, there is more Mexican bars and the presence of foreigners from Mexico and in general from LATAM, from Latin America, has been increasing in the last years. And, you know, this is evident. I would like to ask you why, and I would like to ask you also about the Chinese travelers to Mexico as well. You know, what's going on? You know, what is this kind of exchange that is happening between Mexico and China?
Yeah, I mean, China for most of the countries in Latin America, it's the major trading partner. And being the largest trading partner, in the case of Mexico, is the second biggest trading partner. And that brought the attention from many people from Latin America. Many of them, they came to China to do sourcing, to buy things, and then helping to export them into different Latin American countries. So you can see there is plenty of trading companies all over all over China, and mainly managed by Latin American people. China is also a country that sources a lot of agricultural products. And most of the countries in Latin America, they have a very vast portfolio when it comes to fruits, to meat, and everything related to agricultural industry as well as commodities. So I would say, like many people, they from Latin America, they came attracted by these strong trades on goods and agricultural commodities. And also, you would see a lot of students that they came to different universities in China, because China, over the past 20 years, they have increased a lot of scholarships to students in Latin America to come to study Chinese or to do a master's degree. Like in my case, the reason that I came initially to China was because I got a scholarship to come and do a master's degree here in Peking University. Um, Before the pandemic, I would see that you could see a lot of people, but after pandemic, many people, I think the overall population from Latin Americans and Mexicans in China, I think it has decreased a lot. No. On the other reasons is the economy was for so long closed, so it was very difficult for many of them to maintain their business. um, some of them, they also open, as you know, Mexican restaurants, but you could see it's very challenging, the environment post pandemia, because still the market hasn't recovered as everyone was expecting it was going to be. So yes, I would say like maybe there might be a few thousand Latin Americans and Mexicans in different parts of the country. I think most of them, they might be around Guangdong, no, because of the factories. And so, but I'm optimistic, and I think on the following years we will see that we will see more people coming to China. On the opposite side, yeah,
No, no, go ahead. Sorry.
on the opposite side, Chinese going into Latin America was not really a very big trend in the past 5 years. But I'm sorry, before the past 5 years. But in the past 5 years, before the pandemic, you would see more and more Chinese nationals traveling to different countries. The key country was certainly Mexico. I can tell you that before the pandemic, we received around 150,000 Chinese every year. No, we went from 10,000 to 15 times larger this number during the pandemic. For obvious reasons, there is many flights that they were canceled, or the options that they had to before the pandemic, there were plenty, so they were reduced. But last year, we already saw the Chinese going to Mexico, and they reached around 125,000 nationals going from China to Mexico. Most of them, as you know, I would say in the whole Latin America, you have really two big markets, which is Brazil and which is Mexico. Mexico has a strategic position, no, with their biggest market. So that is the reason why you see plenty of Chinese nationals going into Mexico.
We have a question here from our audience. Now we are streaming on Twitch in this moment. What are the key drivers in terms of trade and investment flows between Mexico and China in this moment?
Yeah, well, the bilateral trade flows between Mexico and China has just keep growing over the past 10 years. You have no idea. We went for around maybe $30 billion trade to right now it might be something about $120 billion. Mexico is exporting almost $20 billion to China. The key things that we are exporting is electronics, especially semiconductors. The following thing is copper. We have one of the largest copper reserves in the world. And thirdly, we also sell to them a lot of auto parts, because Mexico is the one of the biggest producers of cars and auto parts in the world. So you can have an idea. We Last year we produced more than 3 million units of vehicles, and we exported more than $100 billion on auto parts. So this is from Mexico to China, and and when it goes from China to Mexico, Mexico, like I was mentioning to you, is a country which is very close to the biggest economy in the world. So in the past 30 years, you would see like a lot of electronic companies like Foxconn, like Compaq, Toshiba, all the electronics companies from Japan, from South Korea, from Taiwan, and they went to Mexico. So right now, all those companies, they have a manufacturing facility normally in those states that they are close to the US, and they are the main companies that they are promoting that we source a lot of electronic components.
Mhm.
Uh, so this is what China is selling us the most, but in the other rest of categories like textiles, like metal parts, like chemicals, they also selling a lot. Mexico is among the top 10 exporters in the world, and China is the biggest, has the largest manufacturing footprint in the world. So we are sourcing a lot of intermediary goods from China. So we bring them to Mexico, and then we produce a good which is normally exported into another country. So this is from the angle of trade. And when it comes to investment, we see a lot of from Mexico to China, like I was mentioning to you, some of the biggest investments of Latin American companies in China is from Mexican companies because we have very big food companies like Bimbo. You will see their products on all the supermarkets. Or if you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, you will see like they have tortillas, no?
Ah,
So
okay.
the biggest maker of tortillas in China is a Mexican company. But it's not only in these two. Mexico also has like very big auto parts companies, and most of them they have as clients European companies. So several of them they have put factories in the north, in Shanghai, or in the south. Still, there is not a lot of room to grow, but we could see like Mexican companies, some of them, they are here and they are doing very good investments in the country. When it comes to China, the trends is they've been increasing. Initially, they were not really that many, but right now we might have around 1,600 companies from China in different parts of Mexico, and they are going to the north and also into the central part of Mexico. In the central part of Mexico is because most of the OEM manufacturing companies they are producing their cars, and the Chinese automotive industry is also very strong. They produce more than 20 million units a year. So they obviously have a lot of companies, and those companies are going into Mexico to invest. And last year, Mexico was the country within Latin America that got the most investment from China into Mexico.
So this leads us to probably the main argument, because when Donald Trump loses mind, basically, when he starts to throw tariff around, the first country involved has been the one on the border, Canada and Mexico. This is, of course, I mean, it's intuitive, the reason why, because he also said yesterday when he met our Italian president in person, he said, I mean, these tariffs to our neighbors has been there because they weakened the border because of fentanyl. Anyway, Mexico is one of the key countries for his position between the economic fashion, just because United States is next to you. But what is actually the opinion of the people and your government related to this situation, this trade war, and this trade war that is expanding so much? And what is the best solution, in your opinion, for your country? Because Trump said clearly, that he wants to see, who's going to choose who. And actually also China, under the table say something like this. So, what do you think about this situation?
Well, I would say like Mexico, it's a very open country. No, it doesn't matter which is the political party in power. We have been already working into promoting more free trade of goods and capital. So I would say that we don't have a strong sense to a certain country in a specific. In general, I would say, like population, we have benefit from this trend, from trade and investment. So Mexico welcomes the population in general. I would say they see the benefits of having more trade and investment from the US and from China. And in the specific, the companies in Mexico, you would see a divided opinion. Small companies or those industries that they feel they don't compete with China, obviously they want to support more trade and investment with the US. But you will see other sectors, no? Like for instance, in real estate, like industrial parks. Industrial parks are very happy to receive more investment. Different states that they don't have the financial resources. When you have a new investment, either from the US or either from China or from Germany or from Italy or from France, they really support them because that means a lot of jobs to the country. And the federal position, I think they try to be very careful. No, they don't want to say openly if they are with a certain country, no, because we want to continue be independent. But still, there is pressure from, I would say, mainly from the U.S. No, what you can see on the news and by the trade policy measures that they've been implemented by the President Trump. So this is at the federal level. But if you go to the state level, I would say they are they also they are not very open regarding their public opinions, but they will welcome an investor from any part of the world. But still, they will not be, I think, being very public in promoting any support to Chinese investment going into Mexico, no, because they don't want to. It's a very sensitive issue right now between the U.S. and China.
They're afraid
And
of punishment from the American government or
yeah, so
retaliation.
yeah, and what you mentioned, what do I think is the best position for Mexico? I think this is a question not only from Mexico, but I would say it's very important that the country and especially the policymakers doing trade and investment policy, that they need to be thinking on the national interest of their own country, because sometimes we I think there is you can do have a win-win relationship where I'm not only with the US and China, but we live in an interdependent world. And it's very important to recognize that. And it's very important that the country has very specific goals on where we want to be in the following years. And sometimes maybe partnering more with the US is going to be the best solution for us to achieve what we need to meet in terms of national development goals. But some other times, partnering with Chinese companies would be the best for us for meeting those goals. So my suggestion is to maintain an independent policy, and this policy has to be driven by our own domestic development goals.
Okay, but Trump is always talking about immigrants. This is one of his main arguments. Criminals, he called them, and when he talk about immigrants, he means basically Mexicans. Anyway, people from Latin America, but he means basically Mexicans. So he doesn't have, he didn't ever have a good approach on the face of people from your country. So I mean, on one side, I understand that, of course, being neighbors, there is still a long relationship with between Mexico and the United States, but at the same time, of course, this creates tensions, in particularly from the public opinion, and this is usually what China uses. There is a statement actually from the Chinese government to say that we use the spread the anti-Americanism to bring the people by our side. So I would like to ask you, if is this the key from China to get by its side Mexico, or there is other opportunities in this sense that China is using to attract Mexico on his part of the team? Let's see, Team China.
Well, I think as you were mentioning, before I go to that point, I would like to say when you see the major news outlets, they mention a lot that Mexicans they are going to the U.S. But in reality, Mexico is we are in between. So we see a lot of goods going through Mexico, so they can reach the U.S. And it's the same with people. If you see the labor statistics from the past 3 4 years, Mexico has recorded among the lowest unemployment rates. No, so and this is the reason because the economy is really growing. When you go to right now to look for a place to put your manufacturing facility, you will also see that there is not that many already being built factories because we are actually don't have that many available compared to Brazil, because as soon as you have an industrial navy, is very soon in a couple of months it's going to be sold or it's going to be leased. No, uh, I don't think so far I haven't seen a very open strategy from the Chinese government to push Mexico to side with them against the US. No, I think the Chinese government is more careful in that approach, no? Because if they what normally they do is they keep sending delegations from different provinces into Mexico, and their approach is let's support open markets, let's support multilateralism, and let's do more trade, let's do more investment, let's support that more nationals between our countries, they travel more. So their approach is, I would say, is more friendlier in that way.
Okay, so this is one step into what is eating between China and United States. They we are afraid. We living in Beijing. We are afraid that the trade war will create condition to go on another level, of conflict. Military conflict. And it seems that the United States they want to bring, with their alliance, Taiwan, Japan, Philippines, the war closer to the Chinese territory. In the other hand, do you think it's possible? Because China and UK recently they met for a military agreement. That's really really strange, But they met for a military agreement, probably in the vision of like a form of negotiation, in the future. So now I ask myself, do you think it's possible that there will be some military influence or military involvement, or at least China will try to get any military involvement from Mexico for eating the border on the United States? So we know that China has a very good relationship with Brazil. Brazil, they have the age, of it's a young age. So when the population is a young age, it's really suitable for war. At the same time, the influence on Peru and on the ports in Peru from China is total. That's his key. But of course, the main door is Mexico. And if that door is sealed, you will need, weapons to open, let's say, and try to create some metaphors to ask you directly, if it's possible, or if it's something like this that Mexico could actually decide to attack United States, with the support of China, or there could be, some friction, military wise. Also because if I'm not wrong, Trump included in the crimes on the border related to the cartel, drugs, they are defined as terrorism. So this means that right? Yeah. So this means that they could actually go to war. This is a terminology that could lead in that direction. So I wanted to know, about your opinion.
Yeah, well, as a background, Mexico, because we were victims of different invasions before, Mexico, from the past 200 years, we have been implementing a policy which is called of no intervention. And the country has been very consistent on that direction. And it doesn't matter the same, the political party in turn. All of we've been always very coherent. We don't participate on external wars. We don't support them. We prefer that they don't take place. And normally we will support the international organizations to be the major force helping them to find a solution to it. And as you would see, you mentioned it about because the drug cartels they were named by as terrorist groups in the U.S. And immediately the government of Mexico, the first thing they said is that they will not tolerate any type of participation from military forces from the U.S. into within Mexico. And I don't think that is going to change. It could be any country in any other country, but Mexico by no means will support any type of military activity from a foreign government, nor we will engage into military war between other countries. I think that is
Okay.
a very a scenario that is not on the table.
Mhm. Anyway, I mean, you live in China since many years. We discuss often about this situation, which is changing every day. Now the Chinese government is very angry, and for now, United States and China, they are not talking to each other for now. Even if Trump said yesterday, tonight actually, maybe today in the United States, that he's sure that China and United States will find a deal. And when he talks about the deal, it means an economic deal, but I think that could be a military economic deal in the sense that in some way, China could help the transition of United States into reindustrialization and autonomy. And, you know, it's clear that United States, they can give back to China, Taiwan. I mean, just say, do whatever you want. We don't care. We will not move one finger. This could be of course, this is assumption from us. At the same time, this will not stop United States from being able to overeat the southern China Sea, because anyway, there is the option of Philippines, which has an alliance with Japan. Basically, you can find many ways to create problem in this direction. So in your opinion, what is what are the condition for the next 2 years, as an economist as well, for how China is going to change, in this perspective, because they talk also about the selling of the bonds. I mean, what we have to prepare to, in your opinion.
Well, I think um, the potential scenario in the following 2 years, I think, is going to continue a lot of disruption, because it's very clear that the U.S. government, and it's very clear that the China uh, agenda between these two countries from a trade perspective and an investment perspective is not finding common ground. No, and I think, and I don't see the basis for the two countries to find that balance. So what we will see in, I think that is going to continue with all those. policies from the US to push China to negotiate and to try to reach an agreement that meets what they are hoping to reach with China. And China is also on their path to continue becoming a more prosperous country. And you've been living here for many years. The country is very nationalistic, and the way that the tactics of the strategy that is being implemented by the U.S. is something that they simply will not accept it. No, even if the arguments like because for me it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense the strategy, but for instance, let me give you some examples. People can use TikTok in the US, no?
Mm.
But people here, we cannot use Facebook or we cannot use YouTube. Uh, Chinese companies, they can go into the US and be listed, but a foreign company or an American company cannot come into the Chinese market and to be listed. So there is a lot of market access issues that they are not, I don't see they are going to be resolved in the near future. And if the US doesn't have access to more opportunities into the market or to have a similar investment environment or trade rules associated to their principles, it's going to be very difficult to reach it. And I don't think the formula that the U.S. government is promoting might be something that the Chinese will want them to be in place within their country.
Okay, understand. I agree. Of course, indeed there is differences and regularities. The unfairness between the market is true. That China's has a favorite situation, and maybe or maybe not, they are going to choose, to trade in the right way. Okay, let's see what is going to happen. Okay, thank you very much, Luis, for all your information. And good luck for everything. Okay, we will see each other soon. Let me salute my audience in Italian. Grazie a tutti per aver seguito. Insomma, come avete richiesto, vi abbiamo dato questo insightful dal Messico, insomma, è da una persona che conosce la Cina molto bene. Mi raccomando, insomma, iscrivetevi al canale se non l'avete ancora fatto, commentate, fatemi sapere cosa ne pensate e fatemi sapere se avete altre richieste, perché riusciamo a raggiungere qualsiasi cosa. Se volete, ogni tanto ospitiamo Luis qui. Vi lascio un link a PayPal Me se volete fare una donazione, così ci prendiamo una bella tortilla e ce la mangiamo insieme a Luis. Grazie, alla prossima. Thank you, Luis. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao a tutti.